Yeah. Hello, everybody. This is Nicholas Tanek with your Kinky Friends. I have an amazing show today. I'm back, and everyone's back. Everyone's been on the show before, sometimes several times. This is Your Kinky Friends, the YKF Spanking Special. We have a panel of people. We got the whole gamut of. We're going to talk about spanking. We're going to talk about, hands. We're going to talk about the history of spanking. We're going to talk about, different parts of history that dealt with spanking. We're going to do with technique. Everyone's got technique. Why people love it. We're going to talk about scenarios and role play. We have Miss Chris, who, what is it, a beat and breakfast?
Beaten
what
bed.
Do you call it?
My kinky bed breakfast. I call it a B&B, but it's a beat in bed.
That's awesome. Then we have Miss Cassie. Miss Cassie loves rope. She's a dominatrix who also, likes to spank, and I would probably be spanked. We'll get into that. So we have the whole spectrum, and of course, we have the delightful, the magnificent Luna Dark, who is submissive, basically, except when around me for some reason.
Yeah, I make the exception for you.
Yeah, and
I love you.
Yeah, and she's gonna take the gamut of like the submissive side, and then both of you are gonna take the, I guess the other end of the spectrum, which is the spanking side. This is the spanking episode. Everybody, how's everybody doing?
Excellent.
Very, very good.
Wonderful. Okay, so we can go back and forth. Let me start. Let me just make sure we're up. Okay. So all right. Spanking. Sensual spanking, erotic spanking is something that goes very old. And it's also something that goes all throughout history. But why don't we just get to us first? I mean, first of all, everybody should watch the interviews with everybody here because they're great. I'm really proud of them. I'm really proud of all those interviews. I love them, and I've gotten many, many positive things. But let's start with Miss Chris. We talked about the B&B, but tell us a little about what you do.
I'm also a pro dom or dominatrix, but a little bit different flavor. I like to call myself a disciplinarian, professional disciplinarian, and as such, I'm a real. I stick within the niche of spanking. I don't do a lot of other things. I am woefully inadequate with any kind of rope, Miss Cassie. I would love a lesson or two from you, honestly.
I would love to give you lessons.
That would be great. Michael Stoll back in the day tried to give me a couple of lessons, and I can spank like the Dickens, but I must be all thumbs with knots and rope.
Well, I can show you a few things that he couldn't, being from the pro side, that will just make it efficient for you.
Awesome. Very cool. Quick, down and dirty. That's what I need.
And Miss Chris, like in the other episode, this bed and breakfast or beat and breakfast, it's kind of like a boarding school, and you are either the headmistress or the head mommy,
Right.
And the people stay there. People stay there for like the weekend, and
Absolutely.
You dish out discipline, and
All weekend long.
All weekend long, yeah. This is like I guess it's like a full weekend session in like a boarding school and everything. They got a dorm, bunk beds, everything, right?
Not quite a dorm, but I do have room for about 4 or 5, and my Spankademies, are basically the boarding school experience. So we'll take 4 or sometimes 5 students, male and female. And they get here on Friday, and we get into an immersive role play that lasts the entire weekend. We'll take a couple of breaks to be ourselves throughout the weekend, It's very difficult to stay in character for all 3 days, but it's a ton of fun to try.
Definitely.
It sounds like fun.
And Miss Cassie is a professional dominatrix who loves rope. We're talking about suspension and rope, but you're also well versed in spanking as well.
Oh, yes, a great deal of my career has been involved in spanking. Back in the day in the 1980s when I was a pro submissive, my first session was a spanking session. Me dressed as a schoolgirl and him as a dirty old man with me across his lap in his car in a parking garage. And he says, "You're a bad girl," and just kept calling me bad names and spanking me. And I had to tell you, that was like the best session.
That sounds hotter than hell.
And then we have Luna here, who you are a submissive.
I'm just a submissive. I'm not a pro anything. I'm just me.
Yeah, she's incredibly kinky, and for some reason you like to get done with me, though, of all people.
I know. You just make it so easy. I don't know. There's just this. I guess it's like the outlet for. I do have a sadistic side. I do have that dominant side.
Submissives just have to be a little bit toppy with somebody who's
Yes.
a little bit more submissive than they are. Maybe a little bit. They like to be bus drivers. Throw each other under the bus.
But you just make it so easy. There's just this overwhelming sense of joy and gratitude that I get when I smack your ass.
Especially like, Miss Melissa, like doing it in front of her.
Well, she's like the safety net, because this is why I'm not a dom, because I don't have that ability to turn it off. So she'll lead in. She'll be like, "Okay, one more," and I'm like, "5 more?" And she's like, "No, one more. It's getting to." I'm like, 3 more? She's like, 1 more. I'm like, "Okay, 5 more." I can't stop. So this is why I'm not a dom. I like being the submissive. I like being on the receiving end, and
Okay, so the first question is, well, Miss Cassie said it when you were the first time being a professional submissive. Would you say that's your first time you really got into spanking as a fetish or a kink, or was it way before that?
Yeah, that definitely was the first time I experienced as a fetish. It was so enjoyable. I don't know how else to explain it. It kind of it was almost healing at the time, because it was the first time in my life I had received an enjoyable spanking. Prior to that, it was being a child and getting my ass whooped with a canoe paddle, which was no fun. And then to suddenly see that it could be fun. And then, of course, because he was playfully spanking, what happens when you first start playfully spanking? You realize that the buttocks moves in certain ways, and it starts stimulating certain parts. And it's like, if I'm having a hard time getting wet, just smack me a good one on the ass, and I'm like, gush.
so true.
And what about you?
A lot of people can just orgasm from a spanking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like Niagara Falls. There's something about just impact play in general is just, yeah.
And Luna, we'll get Miss Cassie, Miss Chris, we'll definitely get to you. Luna, when did you first kind of get into spanking as a fetish or a kink? Was it really young? Was it more?
No, I really didn't start
20s?
exploring my kinky side until much later in life. So, I just was involved with a really great guy who was into it and kind of introduced me to it. And I was like, "Oh, this is fun." And yeah, I remember like that first over the knee spanking with him. And it was funny because in my mind, I was more focused on, am I going to like roll off of his lap and like face plant onto the floor? That would be horrible and arousing. But then, but at the same time, it's like, well, those are just those real moments. If you get up and get back over the knee, and that's what encounters are. When you're with somebody that you care about and you trust, and but that I think was really what opened me up to a lot. I should send him a thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for the spanking. Yeah, I haven't talked to you in 20 years.
No, I talk to him all the time. But
With me, it's been a lot of ever since I was a kid, like a lot of movies,
Mm.
and a lot of like I used to just love anything to do with kink. I didn't embrace it fully until I tried to embrace it like when as a teenager, dating and stuff like that. But it wasn't until like the 20s that really kind of broke free. But Miss Chris, I'm really interested because you make literally a living off of spanking. It's like one of your main specialties. And what would you say? What?
The number one specialty. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you first get into it? Like when did you? Yeah. Was it real young? Was it like?
I was into other kinky things when I was really, really young. I didn't find spanking until a friend of mine at the time who happened to have been a pro dom had a client come in from out of town who wanted 2 tops. And she kind of, I asked her, I said, okay, what's it going to entail? And she kind of rolled her eyes and she's like, he just wants a spanking. And I was really new. I was so green. And I just couldn't figure out what she meant by that. Like, why would she say just? He just wants a spanking. Why does somebody who want to be bound, why don't they just want to be tied up? But you would never say they just want to be tied up,
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't understand for the life of me what they were talking about. And she kind of referred to spanking sessions or spanking in sessions as boring, entry level. And I couldn't figure out why that was and why that any other fetish was different. I mean, I did lots of different activities with her, but she only referred to spanking this way. And then I had my first spanking session, and I had never given a spanking before, either for real or for fake. And a guy comes to the door, and he is very tall and very large. He's about 6'6", former football player.
Wow.
And he looks at me, and I'm in platform heels. And with my platform heels, I'm looking directly into his eyes. And he just about, his jaw dropped, and he says, "Wow, you're tall." And I said, "Yes, you're tall too." We went through with the session. She only had a metal folding chair in her studio. So I'm doing some calculations in my head. This guy's got to be at least 300 pounds. At the time, I was a little bit larger than I am now. I was about 210. And I'm like, oh, I hope this metal folding chair holds about 500 pounds because that's what we're coming in on. I'm like, oh shit, I might get really injured here. But I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of thought back to spanking, and I was not spanked growing up, so I really didn't have very much of a frame of reference. But I apparently gave him the spanking of his life. And he told me that when he asked me when he could see me again, and I said, oh, no, I don't do this for a living. And he's like, you must, you have to. Do you think I can go over just anybody's knee? I am 6'6". I'm 285 pounds. Most girls are very small. I squash them.
All right, we got our first comment. PUBG Light Gamer or Gardner or gamer. Hello, all guys. I from India. Starting with the language barrier. Hi, welcome. All right, so I guess for the questions, just to kind of make it somewhat organized, we'll go around and then we'll go we'll clockwise and counterclockwise and clockwise and counterclockwise. So, Ms. Chris, here's the next question. Personally, and I mean, you can be generic or specific as possible. There's no wrong answer. Why do you personally like or enjoy spanking, whether it's giving or even receiving?
I love giving spankings. I love being in control, but I also love being in control in a very nurturing way. And spanking is punishment. Absolutely. It hurts to be spanked, but it's always done out of a sense of love. I'm trying to make you better. This hurts me more than it hurts you, that type of thing. The closeness, especially in an OTK position, I love having my spankies weight on my lap. I love using my bare hand on their bare bottom. Those are the things that really drive me the most.
Okay, Miss Cassidy, what is it about spanking, either spanking someone or getting spanked, you love?
Well, I've done a lot of different spanking things in my career. A lot of spanking videos. When I was a pro switch, with two other girls, we were doing custom videos for a gentleman in Europe. And that's when I learned like wheelbarrow position, and I'm really bendy. So they'd have me bend over and grab my ankles, and I can stay there for hours that way. And, so they'd be spanking me that way. And it's three girls, and we're all switching and taking turns smacking each other. And there was a little tickling involved as well. So when you start doing videos with girls like that, and it's not really work. It's just goddamn fun.
Oh,
and
God, yes.
so fun. And I've done a lot of spanking videos over the years. There's a gentleman out in the valley that calls me for mom roles whenever he needs a blonde mom.
Nice.
And evidently I've been on all sorts of sites, because as a matter of fact, I need to answer this email. Somebody asked me if I knew Claire Fonda and if there was any chance I was going to do a video with her in the future. And I'm like, I wish. Fuck. Oh my God, I know.
Contact her. She would love to. Well, somebody she would love to film. She films under Jamie Foxx these days, though.
Yeah, that's how long I've known her.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
Congratulate her on her award for Ray.
I'm sorry?
Congratulate her on her Academy Award for Ray. Yeah, she was that. Great. And what about you, Luna?
What about me?
What do you love about spanking?
Everything. I enjoy the intimacy of it. Kind of like what Miss Chris was saying. It's a very loving and nurturing thing, but I feel like there's always like that heightened sense of intimacy. You know me. I love my toys and I love my implements, but anytime you have that physical contact, it just kind of heightens things, and it just makes it that much more arousing.
Definitely. Okay. So we'll get into apparatuses and everything like that, and role play plays a huge role in erotic spanking.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. So Luna, how important is role play scenario when it deals with spanking with you?
I don't know if I can really clarify or classify what I do as role play, because like Miss Chris was saying, it's very hard to stay in character. You're talking about days. I mean, I'm lucky if I can get through an hour. It's just more about, I put on this cute little costume for you, and like with the little matching fishnets, and and let's play, but it is hard to stay in character when at least for me, because then I just get very distracted with what I get very focused on what's occurring and what's going on. So I don't know if I would say it's, role play is necessary important to the spanking, but it's definitely just another layer. It's another layer of added fun and intensity. It's like Shrek. It's like an onion. There's layers.
Oh, okay.
Yes, definitely.
So, Miss Cassie, how important is role play in any spanking scenario that you're involved with, and what would be a typical one for you?
Okay, well, of course, when I'm doing a video, there is a role play. There's it's improv, but they've given us a scene to work with. I think one of my favorites was let me see, I gotta remember. I think she was playing the part of my daughter, and oh my God, she was so much fun to spank. I know I came in to talk to her on her bed, and I had to punish her, and I pulled out a hairbrush, and that just slipped out of my hand. So I threw it, and then it started using my hand, going, we've got to make you learn this. It's just, I've tried talking to you. I've tried talking to you. This hurts me more than it hurts you. Wah! Wah! It's just. And then, of course, at some point in the thing, he always loves to turn tables. And there's a point when she gets mad and overpowers me and starts smacking me, But there's always a theme. I've done the mother-daughter. I've done the school thing. I've done so many different scenarios. I think my favorite was the one when the leprechaun spanked me. Yes. It was a special leprechaun video. I was playing the part of, what do they call those Hollywood housewife type?
Stepford wife?
No, the housewife series they did. They did one in Dallas, one in Beverly Hills, and
The Real Housewives.
Yes, and now we talked about housewives, my mind went cue me into what I was saying before housewives. Leprechauns. Thank you. Yes, I was playing one of those hoity-toity Beverly Hills housewives. I was wearing a gold lame dress, and I'm sitting there at the vanity putting on my makeup, making myself all pretty, and then this leprechaun comes in and says, I'm going to give you 3 wishes. And, of course, what do I want? More money and more beauty. And she says, well, fine. And then, I forget what I said last, but it turned out for the 3rd wish, she says, now I need to teach you a lesson about those wishes that you just made. And that's when the leprechaun turned me over onto my vanity and started spanking my butt. And I think the leprechaun threw gold coins at me, and wonderful. I know that it got a lot of likes on Twitter.
That's awesome. And Miss Chris, obviously role play is very important. And actually you pretty much answered this question already today. The role play is either the strict mistress or the mommy, or the strict mommy. Are there any other kind of?
I do a lot of boss employee, a lot of teacher students, mommy or strict aunt, and either nephew or son, daughter. Another one that I do a lot. I've got a lot of home renovations going on right now, and I often wish I could spank my home contractors for being assholes. Excuse my French. So I like to do homeowner and like pool boy or girl, or some kind of landscaper maybe, or some kind of contractor, somebody that I can bust doing something wrong and I can really fillet them.
Vent that frustration.
Exactly. I can't do this in real life, so I'm going to do this now.
It's funny with the contractors, if they're taking like too long, you start spanking them, they're probably going to take longer just for the punishment.
Yeah.
They want to keep coming back day after day after day.
Okay, we got a question from Kerr. Hello all. May I ask, what is the difference between the corporal punishment and spanking from both the physical and psychological aspects? And out of those two, I guess the physical and psychological, what do you prefer? So, Ms. Chris?
You know what? I would say that I consider spanking to be corporal punishment. corporal meaning the body, punishment meaning to chastise physically. So it's basically, corporal punishment is any way to punish the body. Spanking is one kind of corporal punishment, but there are tons of other types of corporal punishment. So if I had to choose between corporal punishment and spanking, I would choose corporal punishment. I could still spank, but I could do a whole lot more things. As far as the physical and the psychological aspects, spanking is very cerebral, I have found. I've often say it's 75% here and 25% on the tush. So I really, you know, the physical aspects of spanking is pretty fun to do, but I really like to get into the psychological aspects along with the physical aspects. So I would choose the psychological aspects.
And Miss Cassie?
I enjoyed listening to that. When I think of corporal punishment, it's more in terms of the scenario and the scene. That means that we're going to do good cop, bad cop. We're going to do something military. We're going to do something very disciplined. You know, like recently I witnessed a Singapore caning. It had a surprising effect on me. It brought me to tears.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, well, I know that I could take it and be stoic, but watching it and watching the person cry, it just brought me back to being whipped as a child. And I was like, whoa, you know, because they soak the pain and everything with the extra water. And it is really magnificent. But the intensity of that kind of
way high intensity,
like way high, because I have never broken down in tears like that in a session. And that one just brought me to my knees. And it was almost like, you know, let me just take your place. I can't stand to see you suffer like that. I almost wanted to jump in and take it for him. That's how much it affected me. That was scary. Now, he wanted it, and it was a sensation that he wanted.
Sure.
You know, so everything was consensual and everything, but my emotional response for all of us was a complete surprise, because I've been doing this for so long.
Sure.
Because of the intensity of using a Singapore cane, which is very, very military. Yeah, it brought me to a next different level. So everybody can be psychologically affected in a scene. You know, you can definitely be brought to all different things. Sometimes it's good as the dominant. It gives you something to cycle from. Other times it's like, oh, wow, I just learned something new about myself. You know, so it's like, yeah, intensity is different. You know, I remember my decision to become a pro-dominant as compared to a pro-switch was the result of a spanking session, because I will just hunker in to take the pain. I don't know how hard I'm being hit. And he was hitting me with a very thick wooden paddle. He bruised me so badly that I couldn't sit down for 6 weeks. I was black. My ass was black for so long. And I just realized at that point in time that I can't do this, because I couldn't protect myself. Whatever that heaviness did to me, because I had to hunker in so deep, I got lost and I got hurt. You know, so yeah, there is a lot to this. You know, of course, the guy being just a client, he's not a professional. He has no training. He's just getting off on the cute girl in the schoolgirl outfit, you know, groaning every time he hits with the paddle, going, because I don't scream. I was into it, and it was just like, you know, and he probably thought I was getting off, where I was just so zenned out at that moment. I really had no idea where I was in time.
Yeah. Sometimes you can go to that so deep, you're just not aware of anything.
Yeah.
So this is interesting listening to this, because you're both talking about, you know, working on a professional level, where for me, it's casual play. It's fun. So I'm with a partner that I've been with, that I trust, who, you know, has a certain level of experience. This is not somebody who's paying for the, you know, ability to do this. this is something that we do together and enjoy. I understand what you're saying, Miss Cassie, because I've done that myself. And I tell him that no matter how hard you push me and push my limits, I'm going to push myself that much harder. So this is where the safe word should come out, but this is when it's really going to come out for me. I do understand that subspace kind of mindset of I'm just going to kind of zone out, put myself, compartmentalize myself into where I'm at and take this.
Yeah, well, what I was in was more survivor mode than subspace, to tell you the truth. Yeah. But I have been through a lot of really good spanking experiences, bottoming for classes. I highly recommend that because you get spanked by a professional and then you learn more about spanking and pain gate theory and how our nervous system works. And Chris, when you spanked me with the water that one time, the sensuous water spanking, I highly recommend that to anybody. Holy balls, man, what an experience. So pleasurable. So that's pleasure spankings was, especially bottoming for Miss Chris's classes, absolute favorite, but I bottomed for a lot of other spanking classes. My dom always gave me permission to do that because he is a rope guy and he wasn't much into the spanking, but it was just really something we discovered that gave me really good joy when it was done well.
Now, see, I'm also going to jump to the second part of that question, physical versus psychological, and I think it's an equal balance because they kind of feed into each other. The physical is what's going to, you're going to get the physical response, the arousal from it, but there's also that psychological mind play. Like for me, if I'm ass up on the bed, I can't see what he's doing. I don't know. So, it could be I'm waiting for that, but what I'm getting is like a soft rub, a very gentle rub, and then out of nowhere it comes. So there's a lot to you kind of got a equal balance on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about apparatuses. There's not just toys, but like first of all, there's the classic over the knee. Then there's what is it? The spanking horse. There's a spanking bench, and then there are things that are not really technically made for that. Well, I guess people call food pervertibles, like cucumbers when they use, but like there's like chairs and beds and what are those balls? Those exercise balls that people play on? So like we'll go with Miss Chris on this one. Do you have a favorite apparatus? I mean, kind of like apparatus when it comes to what is it?
Well, I've got two favorite ones.
Go.
One that I use most is a Victorian fainting couch. And if you know a Victorian fainting couch, it comes up and then it comes up and then it comes over like that.
Oh yeah.
So I have my spanky bend over the big end, the tall end, and it puts their bottom at the perfect angle for just about any kind of strapping or paddling or caning. I also have a Portuguese checkers set with it's a built-in little checkers set, and it's got two little tiny seats. It's a piece of wood, the whole thing. And if I put a pillow on the top, I can actually strap you over this thing, and you're in a position like that. And again, it puts the bottom at just a perfect angle for anything I might want to do to it.
Wow. And Miss Cassie?
Well, I mean, OTK, of course, is absolute favorite because I love the feeling of flesh on flesh. It's just more connectivity to it. But I do have apparatuses. It's like I've had an awful lot of fun with spanking benches. As a matter of fact, we did a 3-girl butt stack one time. That was delicious. Wow. One girl on the bottom, the next one up. So you had 3 asses right there. And then the girls came, we did a spanking line. Absolutely fabulous. I mean, so much fun. you know, I love to get creative with stuff like that. You know, so that's always a blast. Spanking benches you can do so much with. And of course, there's the other one is because I work with a lot of people that don't have flexibility. So about all they can manage is maybe bending over and put their belly on a table. But, you know, it gets that right angle like that. So I've got their ass there and they're fully supported with their belly on the table.
Yeah.
Now, put me in a kitchen, let me put them on the kitchen table, and oh my God, let me grab my spatula. We're going to flip some ass. You know, so at that point, yes, I do put on the frilly 1950s apron with the pearls and the little pumps and, you know, the little earrings and yes, and, you know, implements will be used like, you know, frying pans and wooden spoons and spatulas and whatever else just looks yummy.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of the questions that I sent over have even been answered either here already or have been in other episodes. But let's talk a little bit about history. One of the earliest depictions of erotic spanking was 5th century BC. You know, and then you got the Kama Sutra and stuff like that. And then, I mean, it goes all the way up to the corporal punishment when it comes to like schools, especially in Europe, you know, or a Catholic school in America, or just Catholic school in general, or just, you know, is there a favorite throughout like history? I'm not talking about like obviously now. I'm talking about throughout history. Do you have a favorite time period that deals with erotic spanking?
I'll jump in. The Roman bath era. I really like the concept of the Roman baths. When I went to Rome, in the Vatican, there is a lot of tile and there's a lot of mosaics. And I was absolutely amazed to see this woman. She had very pale skin and she was sitting down on something, but you could tell her ass was red. And I didn't know how old it was, but it had to have been centuries old, right? The Romans. So the whole idea of getting spanked in a Roman bathhouse is pretty hot and sexy to me. So that's my answer. The Roman bathhouse era.
Okay. Miss Cassie?
Mine would be more Victorian. Somebody, I remember they used to post a lot of the, like, you know, drawn Victorian cartoons of, you know, being spanked and lifting up all the petticoats and everything and the garters. And, you know, there's just something that's really appealing about that, you know, with all the costuming and it's always such a ritualized discipline, like over a school desk or, you know, in the parlor or, you know, you did your embroidery wrong, young lady. Bend over the hearth while I give you a good one with this polka. Sorry, that's where my mind goes.
I love Victorian times too. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it kind of reminds me you know, I don't know if growing up if anybody watched the Dudley Do-Right cartoons.
Oh, God, yes.
But it so reminds me of Snidely Whiplash and the DID stuff that they did with Nell and Horse. And, yeah. Just seeing Nell's dress go, woo! I always wondered why they didn't reach up her dress.
Because it was a cartoon. You couldn't do that.
Yeah, it was a cartoon. They couldn't do that. But I was always wondering with all the stuff that they did, you know?
Not until I think Fritz the Cat was like the first X-rated cartoon. We have a question from Peter McCarthy. Oh, you wanted to say something.
I was going to say, I don't know so much about the history, but I think if I had the opportunity, I would go back to like ancient Greece because they were all kinky fucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
all of them. You know,
yeah.
even
Caligula.
Say no more.
You look at the mythos and the mythology that came from that. It just oozes sex appeal, you know. But that's me. You know, maybe I'm just a sick fuck.
Yeah. No, we're kinky. All right. Peter McCarthy says, in all caps, he's yelling, "What is the process to carry out an advanced level spanking session?"
That's a pretty open-ended question. There's lots of different types of advanced level spankings. If you're referring to a hand spanking, maybe. I always refer back to, and I don't have them handy right now, but it's called the seven signs of spanking, and it's about a ritual of 7 different bullet points that takes you basically from the very, very beginning of a spanking punishment session all the way to the very end to forgiveness. And if somebody wants to hit me up offline, I can find that reference for you and give it to you. Does that help?
Offline and get that reference.
Okay, I will.
I'm curious. It piques my curiosity.
Miss Cassie, what is the process to carry out an advanced level spanking session?
Well, it's going to require an intake where we sit and talk for at least 10 to 15 minutes about what the intention of the session is. What is their physical capability? Are they a person that wants it abrupt right out of the gate, or do they want to warm up? You know, and I got to take into account their physical health and their mental health and a lot of other things. Because sometimes, you know, I've had a few older gentlemen that in their younger days, sure, they could take it. But when they're older, they've forgotten that they've gotten old, and they want me to do the same thing that was done to them, you know, 10, 20 years ago. And I, as the dominant, have to realize that they aren't thinking correctly and adjust the session accordingly, because I, as the dominant, whether or not the bottom is aware of their safety level, I'm in charge, and it is my job to make sure they're safe. For an advanced level spanking session, I'm mommy dommy, you know, not so much the persona, but, you know, nurse mommy. I am looking for any sort of vitals or anything that will give me a clue when we're reaching that level that I think is, you know, we don't go any further. I'm really, really careful with the intense stuff like that because of the endorphins that fly when you're doing intense spankings. Just because I told you the story earlier, what happened to me. So I know that can happen to the people that I'm playing with. And I'm very, very aware of that. And I will give them the sensations they're looking for, but I won't take them to the point where the skin is falling off their ass. I just am not that person.
Can I just say, getting old sucks? It really does.
Well, there's a good thing about it too. I mean, I try to stay positive because a lot of the older I get and the more older my friends get, the more they embrace their kink and express their kink. You know, there's that. You know, life is short. We're gonna live.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna live in fear, and I'm gonna finally live out my fantasy. And like that happened to me, and more, especially with, you know, the older I get, I find myself embracing it even more, even though I have been embracing it for a while. So there's a very good plus side to being old. Plus, me being in my 40s. I like people, you know, like women with some experience.
Yeah, I understand that. But, you know, as a woman, as a submissive, you know, as you get older, it's harder to remain limber and be able to handle the things that you used to handle when you were younger. But Miss Cassie, kudos to you for mentioning that, because whether you're a professional or non-professional, personal, you know, private, communication is always the single most important thing going into, especially in that type of a situation where this is somebody you're meeting for the first time and this is what they want. We have said this how many times, Nicholas? On like every episode that we do together, we talk about how vital and important communication is. So thank you for reiterating that, because it's so important to be able to communicate honestly and, set the realistic expectations.
Absolutely. And also you have to learn the nonverbal cues as well. Also very, very important. Because we all have them. We've all had that wall up where you just can't speak for a few minutes, even though you really time to call yellow.
And to be an experience, you're going to go, oh, she's really enjoying that. When no, you're not. So yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And the communication thing. And of course, it's always so delicious when you're playing with somebody that knows you, because there's a connection there that you don't get with a stranger. Just saying.
Definitely.
I remember playing with a dom, and he was like, the safe word is orange. And I said, no, the safe word is puppet. And he was, okay, but for me, the safe word is orange. And I said, I don't care what you want to hear as a safe word. My brain is programmed to say puppet. So you're going to acquiesce to my request and use my safe word, because I'm not going to try and retrain myself in the next 10 minutes to use your safe word, And it clicked for him.
You could say orange, but
No, I couldn't.
I probably told you about Luna. Luna's the one who's in the book, Your Kinky Friends, but and she is a submissive, but she literally hands out an application where they have to fill out. There's an essay.
There has to be.
I have an application.
Yeah,
all my clients have to fill out an application.
I mean, for you, I would imagine it's on a more professional level of, just like I would sign off if I'm getting a tattoo. Like I'm waiving away that, relieving you of the liability, But for me, it's really just part of a vetting process to really kind of get to know somebody.
My application is it just is a good jumping off point for conversations before the session starts.
Yeah.
So I like Miss Cassie will spend, sometimes upward to an hour with somebody just to find out, what their thing is and what they deem a successful session, so I can then try and achieve that.
Okay, let's talk about, and we'll start with Miss Chris. Let's start with the media. Whether it's films, books, paintings, music, or anything like that. What would you say your favorite thing is, or medium, or favorite piece of art? Like I said, music, film, books, whatever. That portrays erotic spanking. And you can have more than one.
Erotic spanking in particular.
Yeah, or regular spanking.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Castle Anthrax. Castle Anthrax. Yes. That is that I would say that is a top one for me. I love that one.
I mean, there's a fun element to it, but it's just you say spanking, that's probably the first thing that comes to mind. The spanking is spanking,
Definitely. Miss Chris, any other ones?
Nothing is coming up right now, honestly. Of course, I really enjoy watching any kind of spanking or hearing any kind of spanking reference anywhere. Even when somebody says brand spanking new, my ears are all perked up. I'm like, what? Somebody said spanking somewhere. So anytime it's depicted in any kind of social media, I very much enjoy that.
All right, Miss Cassie.
There's a couple of things that come to mind. Something on the more serious side was a old movie called Night Porter, and it was about an affair. Yeah, You know what I'm talking about? The ex-military guy and the woman, and they continue the disciplinary. That kind of always reminds me of more the serious side. It's a good movie. But the other thing that really gets me is I used to watch a lot of old TV, and like the Joan Blondell show one time, her husband spanked her butt. And in some of those old shows during the 1950s, they did, because I believe Lucy got her butt spanked once or twice too.
Yep. Yep.
And it's that whole 1950s, you know, and then, you know, people are always putting up these old things on Facebook about the old post about how to train your wife in 5 easy steps. And of course, spanking is one of the steps. And that sort of thing just tickles me pink when I see that, to see how much TV has changed over the years, where we've gone from it's okay to spank your wife to, oh my God, no, that's abuse. That's abuse.
There's a wonderful episode. I think you know that I absolutely love The Big Bang Theory. I don't know if you guys ever watched that. It's a very nerdy show.
Yes, what do you mean?
I've seen the clip. I've seen the spanking.
Pretending to, she was sick, legit, but then she pretends to continue being sick so that Sheldon will take care of her, and he finds out. So he's like, well, you know, I think a punishment's in order. So, you know, maybe. She's like, well, maybe you should spank me. He's like, maybe I will. She's excited by this because she never gets any type of intimacy with him, you know, because he's so nerdy. And I love that episode where he literally puts her over his knee and he gives her a smack and she goes, ooh. And he's like, you're not supposed to be enjoying this. She's like, well, maybe you should hit me harder. Well, maybe I will. And he just like right into her desire. It was so brilliantly done.
It was.
That was a good one.
Okay, we're winding it down, but last time when you guys were here, we played the 3-word game. We're going to do a different game. We're going to play an older game, and it's all spanking centric. Okay, and this is definitely going to have to go in order. So let's go Miss Chris first, Miss Cassie second, and then Luna third. Okay, this is the word association game. So just like a psychiatrist or a psychologist or whatever, I'm going to say a word. You say the first word that pops into your head. So like normally it would be like if I said knife play, you'd say sharp. But let's say you're thinking about what's for dinner. Let's say you're going to have a salad for dinner. If I say knife play and you say salad, that's fine too. There's no wrong answer. Okay? And but everything I say is going to be spanking related. Now, your answers don't have to be spank related at all.
Oh, okay, good. Because I'm terrible at this game.
Yeah, but it's there's no wrong answer. This is meant to be fun. You know, and if you go off on like a tangent of like what a certain word is or phrase, it could be a word or a phrase. But like we're gonna go down, so it's a little more easier than the 3-word game. And it's a game that I used to play all the time, but not with spanking, just in general, just in kink. But this is specialized in spanking. So, you guys ready?
Sure.
All right, Miss Chris first, Miss Cassie second, and then Luna third. Okay. And everyone gets the same one. Then we go back. Okay. All right. Open hand spanking.
Smarting.
Smarting. What is that?
Smarting. It really smarts.
Oh.
Open hand spanking. It's stingy, very stingy. Smarting.
And Miss Cassie, what were we gonna say?
Sweaty.
Sweaty.
Your palm starts to sweat. And so does their butt sometimes.
Yes, the butt, definitely.
And Luna?
I'm just thinking wet.
What?
Big wet sloppy pussy.
I guess there's no wrong answer. All right, over the counter. I'm sorry, over the knee.
Over
the knee spanking.
Over the knee
Yes.
spanking. The term "à la maman" comes to mind, and that's the French. That's what the French call the OTK position, is of the mother.
Nice.
So the mother position.
Wow, I didn't know that. Miss Cassie?
Penis towel.
Penis towel.
That's funny. It just made me think of something. When I was going through, when I was young and before I even like knew what things were and what was going on with my body, I used to have fantasies of over-the-counter spanking, of getting spanked over the counter.
Over the knee.
Over the knee. Not over the, why am I saying over the counter?
Because you want to model this.
Of over the knee. And you said penis towel, but like my penis would be in between the thighs.
Yes.
You know, but I'd be over there then spanked. And that's always fun.
Got a built-in handle right there. It's a built-in handle.
Definitely.
Are we going counter or knee?
No, over the knee.
I'm blowjob.
Okay. Toys.
Never too many.
What was the word again?
Toys.
Oh, toys. Makes me think of boys.
My crop.
Oh.
Aw. Is that your favorite?
I'm going to go off on a tangent. The most horrible thing in the world that inevitably always happens when you go out somewhere. I think I left my crop in the hotel. And I love that crop. It was the perfect crop.
Oh, no.
I've had it for so long, I don't even know where to look to replace it, to find another one. I think last night I went online and I bought 4 because they all had some aspect of what my crop was. And then I realized that I'm just going to have to find somebody who, like, I can show you a picture and you get a free titty shot with the picture of my crop. And can you just make this for me? But I'm in black today because I'm in mourning for my crop.
Yeah, I know that toys are very important. Like not just spanking toys, but toys are very important. And some people make toys who are on this panel. We'll talk about that real quick. Yeah, and
can you make a crop?
Crops? I could probably finagle a crop, but it would be very, very wicked.
oh, that's right up her alley. Yeah.
Wicked? You want a wicked crop? Let's talk. We'll talk.
Talk. Yeah.
We'll talk. We'll coffee talk.
All right. Bruised bottom.
Purple, pretty.
Miss Cassie.
Chris, do you remember Cow Butt and you and Sol went on a camping trip and he threatened to sew your butt cheeks together?
Yeah.
That's what bruised butt reminds me of.
I got the nickname Sacred Cow from that event.
I remember.
Michael Sol saw me backing out of the tent backwards with an incredibly splotchy, bruised bottom. And he was just waking up. And so he thought he saw a cow coming out of my tent. Big splotchy, bruisey cow. So then he started calling me Cow, and that kind of morphed into the Sacred Cow. And then they started shortening it to Say Cow.
Luna?
Oh, the professor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The professor's a person.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, there's that little. Before we end it, let's talk a little bit about toys. You know, please. We'll get to the plugs, but you know, the custom made toys. Please talk about that.
Okay. I've got an Etsy shop, and most of my toys are made out of leather. Some of my toys are made out of bull penis. I love working with leather. Mostly I make straps, impact play straps. out of Amish leather, and it's already broken in and nice and buttery soft and smells so perfect, like leather. Yummy. So while you're getting your ass beat by it, you can smell all the nice smells from the leather too. Well, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So now that's basically, like I said, we're winding it down. I'd love to do a part 2 of this, and I'd love to do I know both of you have tons of toys. So we could do a whole nother panel episode on toys, and you got a big thing of toys too. Maybe Miss Melissa, we got a whole trunk over there. That
I don't think I have a lot of toys. I'm just very selective in the toys I buy.
Oh yeah, and you were talking about outfits and lingerie. Everybody, check out the lingerie special with us, where she goes through not even a quarter of her closet.
I didn't. Wow. I just grabbed an arm and brought it over. Like this, and this, and this, and this.
And that's like an hour and a half of just her going through different kinds of lingerie.
I remember you asking me one time, like, if your house burned down, seriously, like, which lingerie would you save? And I'm like, I would burn to death with it all. I could never decide.
All right, so let's do the plugs. Not only, like, for example, Miss Chris, your Etsy shop, Twitter, website, anything, your B&B, any events, any classes, anything, even if it's non-kink related, or just other people you want to promote, please go.
My main website, you can find almost everything through my main website, is MISSSCHRIS.com. My Etsy store is called Miss Chris's Texas Toys. So if you just Google that, that will come right up, my Etsy store. On Twitter, I am Dominatrix. And that's it.
Miss Cassie?
You can find most of my information on my website, MissCassieLovesRope.com, and my store is on there, Clue Darker Creations. I make a lot of jewelry, and I make a lot of things out of rope besides making rope. At DomCon, my big seller was my rope floggers.
Cool.
Yeah, and I do have some paddles and stuff that I'll be having in the store soon. I just haven't decided how I want to design them because of those big wooden Greek paddles. And,
oh, yeah, the fraternity paddles.
Yeah. Yes, and I want to do one with like a steampunk theme with paint and stuff.
Oh, cool.
You know, so yeah, I will have those. I'm not sure when I will get the project done, but they should be in the store sometime within the next year.
Nice.
You know, so yeah. Well, you got to have some cool paddles.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of these are, well, first of all, they're all handmade and custom made, and the holidays are coming up. And I'd rather give money to and everybody else out there too. Give money to people like Miss Chris and Miss Cassie, you know, who make
Bye, Kinky.
Yes.
Buy Kinky, and you know, on top of that, it's like one of a kind. Like you'll be the only person who has that specific one. Nothing's mass produced or anything like that. So yeah, expect me to you know, get some gifts for the people I love in my life. Yes, of course I'm gonna get you. And okay, they can find you here, your Kinky friends.
I'm not on social media. I'm here and I'm on FET, and that's about it. I haven't even been on FET much lately. I don't have anything to. I can promote you. I think you're wonderful.
And every once in a while, you're on Discord.
Yeah, every once in a while. I will say I agree though. I think Etsy is phenomenal. I find that when I'm looking for that certain unique kind of something, I really like what Etsy has to offer. I like the fact that it's small businesses, and I like supporting small businesses, especially right now, like we were saying earlier with the pandemic. I think it's really important to give that support to the small businesses and not the big corporations. But I love the creativity that people express in the things that they sell and they create. You're truly unique and beautiful. I got my collar on, which came from Etsy, and I absolutely adore it. It came from a woman in Israel. It's a beautiful job. I bought a crop last night amongst many from Etsy. So yeah, I think Etsy's a fantastic place.
I gotta
to shop.
send you the links to their stores. They're pretty much amazing. And on their videos, on the previous interviews, you know, you show us, both of you show us some of the goods. And yeah, they are extremely impressive, and I can't wait to, you know, get my hands on them, you know, and on someone, I guess. Okay, you can find me on Twitter, Nicholas Tanek. On Facebook at Nicholas Tanek. We have a secret group called YKF. No one's gonna know you're there. You could have your boss and
Secret.
well, it's a secret group on Facebook called YKF. Yeah. Where
Facebook.
no one knows we're there. We're at FetLife at Your Kinky Friends No Space.
Yeah.
Go to yourkinkyfriends.com. There's a Discord chat group. We have a Patreon page, Patreon/YKF, and yeah, we're gonna have a whole bunch of new creative shows. Feel free to contact me. I love talking to everybody. Seriously, I'm very much a people person. So if you have questions, I get emails and messages every day from people, you know, who not only compliment the guests, but I'm grateful they compliment me and how we've helped them, and also ideas. If anybody has friends or anything, you know, and I dominant, submissive, activists, musicians, as long as they're sexually expressive and they're embracing the beauty of sexual expression with freedom, you know, intelligence, and being consensual, and just a good positive attitude, I want to talk with them. They don't have to be the most popular person in the world. They don't have to be legends, even though like people like you two are.
You know what I'd like to see you do again? I'd like to see you do another episode of Miss Myself.
No, we're doing. You know, we're
Incredibly
doing.
heartwarming
We're doing
to
a
me
recap.
because you guys you talk to people all the time from all over the country and all over the world, and it was like that one moment, like, oh, like we finally get to see your other
She's
half,
a bunch.
and
She's in a bunch, and we're gonna do an episode of my special birthday that we had.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah, we're gonna recap that. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, it's getting late, my friends. First of all, you guys stay on the line real quick. But it's getting late, my friends. My dom is calling me, so you know what that means.
Yes.
So remember the cardinal rule. What is it?
You asking me? It's your show.
Be cool, be kind, and keep an open mind. Stay kinky, everybody. Take care.
You're so funny.